cost of living is the highest, the taxes are the highest, poverty is the highest, the homelessness is the highest. Everything we're supposed to be good in, we're the worst. And everything we're supposed to be the worst at, we're the best in California.
Mainstream media gives you the impression that there is nothing good about America. In direct contrast to that, my podcasts will prove by examples that America has always been and still is the land of opportunity for everyone. Hello, and welcome to another episode in the series Life Lessons with Dr. Bob. My guest today is Chad Bianco. He's currently the sheriff of Riverside County, which is the fourth most populous county in all of California. But he's not here to talk about his extensive and successful law enforcement career. He's here because he's running for governor of California and wants to be on the ticket for that election, which will be held on November 3rd of 2026. Here's a bit of background on Sheriff Bianco. He was born while his parents were living at Hill Air Force Base in Utah. His family includes two younger brothers, and that instilled in him the values of integrity, perseverance, and personal responsibility. After graduating from college, he moved to California, and in 1993 he was accepted at the San Bernardino Sheriff's Academy. After graduating, top in his class, he joined the Sheriff's Department and started to build a successful career in law enforcement. In 2018, he was elected as Riverside County Sheriff and was re-elected 4 years later in 2022 with about 60% of the vote. As sheriff, he manages a $1 billion budget, oversees more than 4,000 employees, supervises multiple jail facilities and patrol stations, and provides law enforcement services for 17 cities across the county. In February of this year, 2025, he announced his candidacy for governor of California in the upcoming 2026 election. As you might expect, he's running on a law and order platform and pledging to repeal California's sanctuary state law. In addition, he plans to tackle other problems like homelessness and the high cost of living, and to restore what he calls common sense in Sacramento. Supporters see him as a strong law and order leader with the courage to challenge Democratic dominance in California. But critics warn of an authoritarian streak and point out a number of controversies that swirl around him, which we'll discuss later in this podcast. Now let's dig in. Sheriff, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here.
This is a pivotal moment for the state, and I know that my listeners will appreciate hearing from you. My first question is the basic question that a lot of people probably ask you. Why do you think you should be governor of California?
Yeah, I don't think I should be, and I don't want to be necessarily. I absolutely know that I have to be. California is in a place right now that is the vast majority of Californians know California is broken. The rest of the country knows California is broken. We went from one of the best states in the country to a laughingstock. You used to be proud to be from California, and now you're afraid to tell anybody. If you go outside the state, you're afraid to tell them you're from here. So with all of the issues that are going on with politics, with the fiscal irresponsibility that is happening, we know that I hope the majority of Californians know that we have to have a Republican, a fiscally conservative Republican that cares about changing the direction of California.
We need a big change.
A big change. And I'm proof of concept. So not only am I a fiscally conservative Republican, I have the proof to show that. And not exactly what we've done in Riverside County. We're going to do that to California. We can't have the highest cost of living. We can't have the highest taxes. We can't have the highest government spending. We're in debt, the largest economy in the country, and we're the most in debt. Nothing makes sense in our government.
We spend the most to educate every student, and we are I think 47th in the rankings of quality of education.
Yeah, absolutely. I moved to California in 1989, and I came here for the California dream. And I achieved it. I came here for the opportunity to make a better life for myself than really what my parents had. I raised my family here. I found a fantastic job, and I truly did achieve the California dream. And unfortunately, that is not available to most people anymore. Certainly my kids are looking at other states
Right.
to see what is their California dream, what is their state dream. And I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that what I had here is what all kids have here. What our younger generation has is, I don't want them leaving California. This is the greatest state in the country. And it's unfortunately been negatively impacted by a failed government agenda. And we just need to change that around so that California dream's attainable again. And we start bringing people back into California instead of leaving.
I personally told my own kids, I have two boys, one's 30, one's 33, who grew up here. I said, you had a great time here, and it's a great place to retire, but don't think about starting a business here. I said, the rules, the regulations, the overbearing sense of bureaucracy won't let you succeed.
Yeah, I've been in government now for 32 years. And been the sheriff for 7. It'll be 8 by the time of this election. And knowing what government is, knowing how government operates, and knowing that government's number one responsibility is public safety, that also makes me, as the sheriff of Riverside County, the number one spender of taxpayer money. And I absolutely know and believe that I should be doing it as economically as possible, as fiscally conservative as possible. You don't spend more money that you have. You don't get to just keep asking for more money, or in the government sense, just taking more money. And I think that that's truly where we're failing. And we absolutely just need someone that's willing to go in and not just go along with the status quo. It has to be a person in government that knows where it's broken, knows that small businesses are the lifeblood of any community.
Right.
The success of the state depends on our small businesses, big businesses also, but you have to have the small businesses in every community. And knowing that, caring about that, I'm going to make us the number one business friendly state in the country.
It's a great aspiration. Now, what part of your professional life best prepared you for becoming governor?
I think that from the beginning of being a law enforcement officer 32 years ago, I strap on a badge and a gun and a vest every single day to make everyone else's lives better. I am willingly capable of sacrificing my life for the life of someone else without even thinking about it. It's just something I do on a daily basis. And I've been very successful at it. And when you think of a law enforcement career, I don't want to talk about the negative parts of it because we have some, but it's to reach the level that I have. It's based on work ethic. It's based on integrity. It's based on honesty. It's based on leadership ability. And those are what I believe California is absolutely lacking. Californians are starving for a leader. They're starving for someone that they can believe in, starving for someone that they can trust, that they know who is there to make their lives better instead of enrich themselves or there for a personal agenda, political agenda. They want someone that is actually going to care about their lives and about their ability to reach their dreams.
And who walks the walk and talks the talk. Now, Gavin Newsom, during COVID, of course, you couldn't go out. You'd get arrested if you were on the beach. If you were arrested, you could get arrested if you were surfing without a mask. But yet he went to restaurants where nobody was wearing a mask, private parties, indoors. It's irresponsible. It's a terrible situation when the government is passing laws, but the people passing the laws don't adhere to those laws.
Yeah, the whole statement "for thee, not for me."
Right.
I mean, that's not a leader. That's not who we should be electing into the positions that truly control the size of government, the direction of government, and how those regulations and taxes and everything else that are killing us, how they either continue or get removed. We know they should be removed, but we have a government agenda with a failed leader, in my mind, that is not interested in taking care of the people that they represent. And that's really the main issue that I have with our government officials. And my success over the last 32 years, proven concept of success. You don't have to. I can tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to promise you a lot of things that I'm going to do. Every politician does. But you can go back for 32 years now, and particularly 7 as me as the sheriff, and you can see that I'm going to do exactly what I say I'm going to do. And it's you can trust that our government will be different.
Now, you've often said that you want to restore common sense to Sacramento. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, common sense is something that is missing from most decisions, and common sense is something that I don't want to say I have more common sense than anyone else, but I'm not afraid of common sense. So it is common sense in California that, well, it is a fact that businesses are leaving California because of taxes and regulations. So common sense would tell you, reduce the taxes and the regulations, and those people will stay. Common sense. Let's put common sense back into government. Common sense, it's a fact that boys are different than girls. Common sense would tell you that boys don't belong in girls' locker rooms. Boys don't belong in competing against girls in sports. And those are the things that adults need to come to the table and start making decisions for the whole instead of these special interests.
Right. And I just came across a regulation yesterday. I live on a few acres here, and we have rats occasionally. Now, in the past, I've gone to Amazon. I love Amazon. Bought rodenticide, these little chunks that are poison bait. As a matter of fact, the way it kills rats is quite interesting. It breaks down their blood vessels so they bleed. They bleed internally, and they go to sleep. That's really what happens. They don't get hurt. They don't hurt. It's not like a trap that cuts off their head or something. At any rate, I bought this about a year ago, a pail of it, and I needed more of it. I went on Amazon, and it's still available, but, unfortunately, can't be shipped to California. There are many things that I found that I want that you can't ship it to California. And I looked it up. Why can't you ship it? Because it might be that another animal, a protected animal, would eat the dead rat and it would get sick. So, and there's paints that you want to buy that cover up rust or that eat up rust, not available for California. Available the rest of the world, rest of the states, but not in California. So it's just over-regulated, and every regulation reduces your freedom. Yes. That's what it does. It reduces your freedom of choice or your freedom of what you can do with your daily life. Every regulation, we have too many regulations.
Yeah, and also one of the aspects of regulations, not all, but the majority of regulations, not only cutting off of your freedom, but it increases your cost of whatever it is that you're doing.
That's right.
So it's taking away freedoms, causing you to lose more of your money, and there you have a cost of living in California that is almost unbearable. For the normal, hardworking Californian. You have to have 2 incomes in your family if you want to do anything to move ahead, because one income just can't do it because of those regulations.
Yeah, and you add on, you might make a reasonable income, but the taxes are extraordinarily high here. So you have to pay the federal tax, whatever it is, and then the income tax in California is somewhere between 10 and 13%. And then there's a sales tax on anything you buy.
Yeah,
very expensive.
Yeah,
very
California
expensive.
Government and really it's a decades-long failed social experiment. We have to admit that that's what it was, and we have to admit that it failed, and we have to change directions drastically. We've gone down this path for too many years, too long. And it is apparent to almost all Californians now that we just need a different direction. We can't. It's impossible to open a business. It's almost impossible to keep your business running. If you really sit down and look at the issues that our businesses have, I talk to business owners all the time, and they just feel like there is something, an entity, and it's government that just wants their business to fail, wants them to quit, sell, move out,
Make it very
do
difficult.
something different. And it's sad that we have come to that place truly because of somebody else's agenda that's not for Californians.
Now, you've said, Sheriff, that California has turned California dream into a nightmare. In your view, what are the main things wrong with California today?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about them, but the bottom line is it's too expensive to live here. The taxes are too high. The cost of living is too high. Gasoline, groceries, everything about our lives is far too expensive here. We have a government, being involved in government for 32 years. I absolutely know that the majority of government, and I will tell you our state government for sure, has absolutely no intention of ever saving money. None. Their intention is only to spend money, and when they don't have any more money, they call it revenue. It is not revenue. It is a tax.
It's theft.
Yes. And so when they have no ability to save or to stop spending. So when something new comes along, it's just increase the taxes on businesses and on residents, and then they just keep their spending happening. So that California dream has been taken away by a government that is truly just intent on getting bigger.
That's it. Growing.
We cannot achieve our dream. The California dream, American dream, is to own a home. And California is making it almost impossible for anyone to own a home, almost double what the national average is for the price of a home. California is almost double.
And part of that is because of all the regulations in the permitting process.
Completely.
To be able to build a home.
Yeah. I have friends that build single homes and that build communities. And they all say the same thing, that roughly a third of the cost of the home that they have to sell, a third of it is directly related to the permitting, to the government fees and the regulations. And so without those government regulations, technically a $900,000 home could be $600,000, maybe even less. And
the time to build it would be less.
Yeah.
Which saves
90
money.
days. We should be able to build a home in 90 days, and that's very conservative. In California, it takes between 3 and 5 years. And it is completely government red tape, that regulation process, the permitting process, the costs that go into it. That is what's driving the home prices in California up. It's not the builders. It's not us. It's not anything. It's not a lack of homes. There is a lack of homes because builders can't build them because they can't sell them.
Right.
Yeah. And so that California dream that I came here for, that ability, knowing as a 22-year-old that I could come here and work as hard as I possibly could, and I was going to have a good life for my family, me and my family, that is almost non-existent anymore.
Right.
And I honestly feel a little bit responsible, which is part of the reason why I want to do this, is I was concentrating so much on myself. I was worrying about my family, my neighbors, my home, my job, and I wasn't paying attention to what was happening around me. I was not paying attention to what government was doing.
No, that's the conservative mindset. You worry about your family and your community. You're not worried about what's upstairs and how they're going to change things and ruin things.
Yes. And then in the law enforcement world, you really start, especially when you start moving up in management, and you're trying to do everything you can for the people below you, and you realize that you have a state government with lawmakers that are working against you in the public safety realm. To the point now as sheriff, I know that's why I wanted to become sheriff, is to provide a better law enforcement service, the best we possibly could to Riverside County. And so now as the sheriff, I realize I'm tapped out on what I can do for the residents of Riverside County because I have lawmakers that are making it impossible for me to protect the community.
Yeah.
And so those things, public safety alone, that's why I need to do this. We need to make a complete direction change in public safety. And I'm going to be the expert in public safety. But it's not just law enforcement industry. It's every single industry is being affected the same way. And so knowing all of that, it makes that is why we no longer have a California dream, because it seems like the government is intent on keeping us all equal or preventing you from getting more.
Right.
and making sure that we're all the same, and they're taking more. And I'm just a firm believer of history. I'm a fan of history, and I know why our founding fathers formed our country and how they formed it for the freedoms that we have, and as a small government, less government, and we've lost track of that. And I think that as the conservative people that cared about ourselves and worrying about ourselves, we weren't paying attention of how big government was getting and how much they were taking from us.
The left is taking control.
Yeah.
Right.
And even the aspect of we have lost the idea or the factual basis that government was not designed and is not supposed to be telling us how to live our lives.
Right. That's right.
We are supposed to be telling government what government can do. It's not supposed to be the other way around. Right. And we've become comfortable with
being told.
Yeah, just bites out of the apple over a long period of time. And now we're just accustomed to government saying, oh, you can't do that, and us saying, okay. And there certainly has to be a small part of that. We have to have a civilized society. That's why we have laws and punishment for crimes and things like that. But government is not supposed to be hindering our ability.
We don't want a nanny state
To achieve as much as we want.
Right. Now, one of the big issues on voters' minds across the country, homelessness. I know when I grew up, and I remember my father driving me to school, and we passed this building. And I said, Dad, what's that building? He said, oh, that's a state hospital. And you're old enough, you'll remember this. Every major city or every major city had a state hospital, and it was often referred to by local people as the nut house. Right? And the people who were housed there, the patients who were in that state hospital, were people who could not take care of themselves. They had mental issues or drug addiction issues. They couldn't take care of themselves. It wasn't just they couldn't afford a house. That's not the issue. In the 60s, and there were no street people at that point.
Right.
There was no homelessness at that point because they were housed against their will because they have no ability to think what's good for them, what's bad for them. They were housed in these hospitals, and they were given medication and fed and clothed and kept safe from each other and from others. That ended in the 60s, I remember, because I remember talking to a person who was a member of what was called the Mental Patients Liberation Front. These were leftists who believed that it was wrong to incarcerate these people against their will, and that they would be better off integrated into society. They'll be better off. We can see how well they're integrated in society.
Yeah, that didn't work out very well.
Didn't work
us.
out. And since the 60s, many years, 50 years, we've had those state hospitals are closed. There's no such thing as a state hospital anymore. So where are these people? They're on the streets, in tents, in broken down cars, danger to themselves.
Yeah. And danger to others.
Dangers to others, right? These are crazy people by and large. These have mental problems, which are not easily solved, okay?
Yeah.
People say, well, I'll give them more mental health. Forget it. They have to be incarcerated against their will.
Yeah.
There has to be a process, of course, to make sure it's fair and open, but people who are crazy can't be allowed to be on the streets.
Yeah. You have to look at it and look at what we see on San Francisco. Downtown San Francisco is completely
there are parts
full.
of downtown San Diego.
San Diego is turning in. I mean, there's a story out there that San Francisco, the people that left San Francisco, the businesses and the people that were leaving, wanted close to the same environment that they could possibly get with the weather and with the business environment and those types of things. They wanted to be close to the beach, close to water, and they found San Diego. So they moved to San Diego, but their same beliefs went with them to San Diego, and now San Diego is turning into San Francisco 2.0. And it's very, very sad. But when you look at the people that are down there and you look at that, we never had that before, and now it's, 200,000 or more. I think there's far more. I think that they're not telling us the truth when they count them. But regardless, it's inhumane what we are allowing people to how we're allowing them to live and suffer and truly rot in their own skin and die on the streets.
Die on the streets.
While we just drive by and don't pay attention and put your blinders on and not care. And I understand why they stopped the state housing, but it was completely wrong and a major unintended consequence. So the complaint is there is abuse going on.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the answer is address the abuse, not close the building.
The system, right?
Yeah. And so that's what has to happen. Yep. And if you ask any of those people, male or female, the people that are living on the streets in this drug-induced psychosis / mental illness state, if you ask any of them, they are not going to tell you they need help. Their skin is just abscess sores. Right. Who knows how they're not dead yet, and they're telling you they're fine. And when we ask them, do you want help? The answer is no. That is why we have to be able to force them into the situation where we can get them sober, we can get their help with their mental health issues, make them productive again to where they can go back to the home that they have, family that they have, be productive again and enjoy their lives. Because now what we have is they're just going to sit on the street, live on the street until they die.
Right. And it lowers the quality of life for the rest of us.
For everyone.
There are streets you don't want to walk down and you don't want to see it. You drive through the streets and you see these tarps hanging under roadways and things. It lowers the quality of life for everyone. They have to be put into homes. And in some communities like New York, they take hotels and they put them into hotels. And they said, oh, they're not, all they need is a home. No, they don't need a home, okay? They don't mind if they're living on the street or living in a hotel. That's not what they need. They need care, and they need it forced upon them.
Yeah.
That's what they need.
Absolutely they need the treatment. They absolutely must be sober. And if they still have mental health issues after the sober, and there are some that are only mental health, that may not be drug-induced. It may just be something mentally unstable, wrong, people that we can maybe help with some type of medication, but we have to get them in a place where that's even possible, because living out on the streets is not.
I'm going to tell you a personal story. When we first moved here, we were living in some temporary hotel while we were looking for a home here, and often drove La Jolla Village Drive. There's an exit off the 5, and there was a homeless man, or claimed to be homeless, with a sign, "Please help," and everything. And I said, my kids were young at the time, 5 and 8, something like that. I said, one Sunday, I said, I want to show Max and Barney, I want them to experience what it might be like to be homeless. So we went out with signs. We didn't go to Staples and buy nice cardboard. We went dumpster diving. And my wife said, Dad, you're crazy. Don't do this. And the kids didn't want to do it. And I said, kids, whatever money we get, I'm going to share with you. So they were interested now because there was a monetary incentive. So we went out with signs, and I'm going to tell you what the sign said. Barney's sign said, homeless, can't find a house in La Jolla under $5 million. And Max said the similar thing about Rancho Santa Fe. And mine said, stock options underwater, please help. All right. And we were dressed nicely, and we stood at that corner, it was on a Sunday, where the first fellow that I saw, it doesn't work weekends, turns out, right? That's an interesting point. We were there, and within an hour, we had raised $80, despite the fact that the signs were obviously a joke, right? And some people actually had bags prepared with food. Sorry you're having a hard time. And other people gave us cash. Well, at the end of the day, I said, well, I have $80. What am I going to do with this, right? I'm not going to keep this money. So I looked for homeless shelters, and I found one. It's called the San Diego Rescue Mission. And I made a call. I was still a philanthropist. I give a lot of charity. And I explained who I was, and I was met at the door by the manager, and they had just moved into this facility. It was formerly a hospital, and they have changed it into a shelter. It was a very interesting program. They still have it there. You have to sign up for 6 months. Now, they don't lock you in, but if you leave, you can't come back. But in 6 months, they're going to teach you that it turns out that they're teaching you something about religion and God, and they teach you how to be either a barber or a waiter or something. And at the end of 6 months, and I now go to their graduations, and these people who come out of there look like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
They were just hard times. Mm-hmm. So when I went through the first day, and of course I gave them the $80 and $10,000 more than the $80, and I said, I noticed you told me the capacity here is 300, but it's only about half full. Why is that? And he said, well, Dr. Bob, we go out in a van every night into the streets of San Diego where the homeless are living, and we ask them to come in. We greet them. We want them to come in. We're going to take care of them. They don't want to.
Yeah.
They don't want to. And he told me they've done the study, and on average, they can raise something like $70 a day from begging, which covers their drugs and a bit of food. They don't want to be helped.
Yeah. That's what we find every day in the law enforcement world, because we're the first responders when people call about someone being out there.
Right.
And that's what we find. They do not want help. We jump for joy, bend over backwards, backflips when we actually find someone that says yes. Because then it's like, oh my gosh, now we get to activate what we have available to us.
Right.
And we get to get them help. We get to get them a room.
Right.
We get them off the
But
streets.
they have to be willing. And most of them, they're just not willing. So they have to be put in against their will.
Right.
And again, it's for their benefit. But the social justice warriors, it's against you. They have freedoms. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I push the homeless issue a little bit more, and we have to realize now, looking back, that the government doesn't want it solved.
Yeah, that might be it.
We could fix it. We know how to fix it. I mean, we're sitting here talking it through. There's hundreds of thousands of people out in California just like us that are saying the exact same thing. We know how we can fix it.
Yeah.
Where's the common sense in government that says, oh, we know how to fix it, now let's just do it? I don't think they want it. And if you look at where all of that money is going, and I call it throughout this, and even before I was going to run for governor, it's a homeless industrial complex. It is a business. It is a laundering of taxpayer money from us to the government saying we're going to help, and we're going to have all these programs. Then it goes to all of these nonprofits, and you found a nonprofit that actually is doing a good thing. They're not all like that.
Yes.
There are shell companies. There are LLCs, operating LLCs that are getting this money, buying things for themselves and for, their shell company. And then a portion, we're finding now that a portion of that money goes back into the political process to get these people elected again.
Again, right.
So it's the issue of homeless is common sense. Do you want to fix it? And the answer is absolutely, but we have to force them into the treatment. You arrest them for the drugs, for the theft, for whatever it is, while you're housing them in jail for a couple of days, they're sober.
Yeah.
And now they may not even have a mental health issue, but now at least they can make an educated decision of saying, yeah, I'll accept treatment rather than jail, and then get them into one of those facilities, a live-in facility that is going to.
Facility.
Yeah, it can't be the ones that just see them for 5 minutes and send them back on their way to go live in their tent under the freeway, and then use the drugs in the same environment. It's got to be an actual attempt to make them see and give them the opportunity to do better.
Right. Let's talk about drugs. It's all on the news how the Army, the Navy, the Air Force were bombing these speedboats that are coming from Venezuela and Colombia and everything. And it all sounds like, it was years ago, I forget who was president, said we're going to declare a war on drugs.
Yeah.
We've had a war on drugs for as long as I can remember, at least 50 years, war on drugs. My position is that all drugs should be legal, with some exceptions. Why should the government, Chad, have any say about what I put into my mouth or into my vein? Isn't it my body, my choice? Why should the government have any say about that? I don't understand it. We've gone through prohibition. That was before my times. And we saw what happened there. Organized crime took control. And finally, we just got rid of prohibition. We legalized it. It's controlled. You got to go to a liquor store. You got to show your ID of 21. Why can't we do the same with drugs?
Yeah. So if you go back in California and you look at exponentially where the homeless is, we always had homeless. There were always people living on the streets, and the numbers are like this. 2014, if you go back on a graph with the number of homeless in California, from 2014, that number goes from relatively the same, and it just goes straight up. Every single year it goes straight up. 2014 is when California made drugs legal. So the answer is, you can't be concerned with the homeless issue about all these people in a drug-induced psychosis, drug and alcohol-induced psychosis, living on the street, and then at the same time say all drugs have to be legal, because their ability to have all of their legal drugs are what have put them there in the first place. And now the mental health, the psychosis that comes with that chronic drug addiction is why we're in this position. So I understand what you're saying. The government maybe shouldn't be able to tell you what to do with your body, but then we're certainly not going to pay the price for what happens when you put that in your body. Right. And we're not going to pay you and give you money for drugs. If you are homeless in California, you get $1,500 a month. We're enabling that. We give them cards. Yeah. We give them ATM cards, EBT cards.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yes. And then we give them legal places to go do their drugs where they can suffer no consequences. Law enforcement is not allowed. It's the drug dens. That's why San Francisco looks like what it does. That's why downtown San Diego is going to look like San Francisco. So I get that whole argument. But with the drug aspect, I mean, it's all fine if you just keep using drugs until you die and kill yourself with an overdose. But when you can't function in society because of your drug addiction, we have to pay the price.
But there's another problem with making it illegal, and that is the crimes that these people have to commit to get enough money to buy the drugs.
Yeah.
See, I don't think stopping the supply is impossible because the demand is so great.
Yeah. The demand is there.
The more you try to stop the supply, interdicting it, the price goes up. These criminals, there's a need out, there's a market. We're not talking about the people who are homeless, but there are a lot of Americans who buy drugs, who want to use drugs, right?
Yeah.
And they're productive members of society.
They've always been there. But I want to bring you back just a little bit and say, yes, we've had a war on drugs, and we're never going to eliminate, in a free world, in a free America, we're never going to stop someone from using those drugs if they want to. When we had the war on drugs, it really started with Nancy Reagan saying no. And the education system telling kids don't do drugs. These are the dangers.
That's correct.
So they were saying that we were losing the war on drugs. I don't think we were. Just because there were still people using drugs, that's the thing that you're never going to stop. But then we stopped the education. We stopped we made them legal, and now we're suffering the consequences of that. So if you go back to before 2014, we were winning the war on drugs. And then we stopped at 2014. And now we see what we're seeing on the street. And then if you want to even go more than that, you go to 2020 and with a complete wide open border and all of the amount of fentanyl that was smuggled into this country that is now killing everyone, making everyone physically addicted to every single drug because they're even putting it in marijuana. So these kids smoking joints, they're really smoking joints laced with fentanyl, and now they are physically addicted to that drug, and they think it's the marijuana, but it's really the fentanyl. They're overdosing on the fentanyl. They're addicted to that, and it's the narcotic that is truly messing them up. So we're suffering the consequences of that. We saw massive deaths from 2020 on until we really started combating it.
But from what I understand, and I'm not knowledgeable, but from what I've read, those deaths are because the purity of the drug it's much too it's too strong. It's stronger than it's supposed to be, and people take it and they drop dead. But if drugs were legal, then it would be Johnson & Johnson and Ciba and Squibb who would be making the drugs, and they would control the quality, control the distribution. There would be no profit other than minor corporate profit, but you wouldn't have to commit crimes in order to buy and make enough money to buy your drugs.
But you still have all the people living on the street that are addicted to drugs and alcohol, mentally unstable.
That's true.
And it would actually be more if everything was legalized, because now anyone can do it. We don't even talk about the dangers of drugs anymore. And there is a movement in California schools. It went from say no to drugs to do drugs responsibly.
I see.
And then fentanyl coming into play. There is no responsibility in fentanyl. It's one pill could kill. You have no idea what you're getting or how you're taking it. And these kids are overdosing it. Adults are overdosing with one attempt. Even some where they only smoked marijuana, but they overdosed on fentanyl. They smoked a joint, overdosed on fentanyl.
Well, drugs have to be controlled, but it comes down to, I think, controlling the quality. Look, marijuana is now legal in California. You don't see people stoned all the time just because it's legal. You know, I smoke. I'm a heavy user. 3 times a year, I get high with my kids. And my kids don't want to do it. I have to force them. I say, come on, we're going to have some ice cream. We're going to have some goodies. It'll be munchies. It'll be great. But I don't know what happened to this generation. They don't want to do drugs with their own dad. I have to force them. But kidding, of course. But marijuana is legal, and you don't see, I don't think you've seen a huge increase in people using marijuana or anything.
Oh. We do. And it's the scariest part about it is driving.
That's true.
So the problem with marijuana from a physiological standpoint is marijuana is far worse for your motor skills than alcohol. But at the same time, not for your cognitive level.
Yes.
So when you are drunk,
go ahead. Yeah.
Your body shuts down and you're drunk. Yeah. You're passed out, whatever the case may be. So your ability to have motor skills to walk somewhere, you can't do it. With marijuana, you have zero cognitive skills to do 2 things at once, but yet your brain wise, you're not going to pass out. You're still going to go do it. You're going to still go try and drive, even though you're far worse off than whether or not you were drunk. And that's the danger of marijuana. And also, you talk about regulated. It's legal now. It's regulated, and you take our age, and when we were kids, and kids were smoking marijuana, the THC level of the marijuana today
much higher
is 10 times, 20 times higher than what it was there.
One toke.
They are trying to get to 100% THC level, where marijuana, skunkweed back in the 70s and 80s was 4%. Yeah. And so there is one particular case where it was, I just lost the San Luis Obispo maybe? Or Santa Barbara, one of those 2 counties, Santa Barbara County. There was a female, smoked marijuana. She had, by all accounts, she had never smoked marijuana before. She smoked marijuana one time. She stabbed her boyfriend 118 times. Complete psychosis from one joint of a THC level of marijuana that was so high. We are finding that THC level is causing instant psychosis. So it's no longer just marijuana. It's turning it, that high level of THC is turning it into a psychedelic. It's turning it into...
That's strange, because my experience is you just want to eat and laugh.
Yeah.
Eat and laugh. But I've never heard of people becoming violent in marijuana.
And there are certainly, over the years, there are productive people in society that a lot of them probably do smoke marijuana every day. Yeah. But it's not the high levels of marijuana that it used to be.
All right, changing the topic. Let's talk about Sanctuary City. What are we going to do? What would you do with SB 54?
Completely eliminate it. And I'm going to be the one eliminating it no matter what. We are either going to eliminate SB 54 after I win, because it is a travesty on public safety.
Terrible.
Or we're going to win in court from the lawsuit that we have against the state. So the city of Huntington Beach as an entity and Sheriff Chad Bianco as an individual are suing the state of California because SB 54 is unconstitutional. And it is unconstitutional on its
this
face.
Is ongoing, or this
right
is what
now.
you willed be
Oh,
doing?
no, it's ongoing right now.
Uh-huh.
So we're going to win no matter what, because it is unconstitutional on its face, because it causes me to violate either state law or federal law. In every decision that I have, I'm violating a law. That in and of itself makes it unconstitutional. So we know we're going to win in court, but they are fighting it tooth and nail, not only with their attorneys and everything else, but the court system in general is just allowing it to continue. Just continuation to continuation.
Are judges who
Absolutely.
Were by...
So they're going to drag it on as long as they possibly can until it gets to where they can't anymore, and then we know we will eventually win. So it's either going to win that way, or it's going to win when I am the governor. Because here's the reality. SB 54 does not protect you and I. It doesn't protect residents of California, and it does nothing to protect people who are here in this country illegally. Nothing. It actually makes them an easier victim. The only people that it protects, and this is what it was designed for, this is what it was written for, and the talk at the time that was said out loud, it is only meant to protect people who are in this country illegally, who commit crimes and victimize us. It protects them from being deported on their release from jail. So a sheriff or a prison warden cannot turn those people over to the federal government to deport them. We absolutely must just release them back into society, and they victimize us again. And it happens over and over and over again. And who is safe? The only person being protected is a criminal who is victimizing us. It has to end.
So I want to make sure I understand this. So an ordinary person who comes here illegally over the border, it's not going to help them at all? Because,
not at all.
Because
the federal government's still going to deport them if they come in contact with them. And so the emotional argument,
I see, because they haven't broken a law, so they're not in jail. So ICE can send people in and
into the communities. So how it should work is all of those people, and this is how it would work in California today if California was not a sanctuary state. We have to release those criminals back out into society. We can't tell ICE that we're releasing them. We can't tell the federal government. So now ICE knows they're there. They know they were arrested. They have the same databases that we have, so they know they're in custody. But now, once they get released, now they have to go find them.
I see.
So now ICE is going into our communities to find those people.
Much more dangerous.
Yes. Not only is it more dangerous for ICE, it's more dangerous for the community.
Right.
Because these people are fighting back. They're trying to get away. And then it's also when ICE finds, say you're illegal, you were arrested, you served your time, and I let you go. Mm-hmm. ICE knows where you live, so ICE goes to your house. They're not, if there are 4 other people in the house with you, they're not going to let them go if they're in the country illegally also.
Sure.
They're going to take them and get them into the process for deportation also. That's the innocent people that they keep claiming. They're not innocent. They're still here illegally.
Right, of course not.
They just happen to be around in proximity of the person that ICE was going to apprehend.
Right. And
so
they're not going to close their eyes to that.
They can't.
They can't. They're not allowed to, right.
So if they were allowed to go back into the jails, and if I was allowed to call ICE and say, tomorrow we're releasing these 3 inmates.
And those would be the only ones that you would get.
That's it.
Right.
They would come to the jail, they would pick them up, and they would take them away.
Right.
That's how it worked before SB 54.
I see.
SB 54 changed everything, and so we could no longer do that. I'd also like to add the importance of local law enforcement not being involved in immigration enforcement. Number one, it is not our job. Mm-hmm. It is the job of the federal government to enforce our immigration rules, laws, and deportations. I've been in law enforcement for 32 years. I've never cared whether someone was here. I've never asked whether someone was in the country illegally or not. We just go help people in need. So we don't say, are you here illegally? I just want to know, were you victimized and who victimized you? And we need to go solve that so you are not going to be victimized anymore. So this is a drastic example, but I want to tell you what we know is happening. My biggest fear and the demonization of law enforcement and the whole SB 54 saying that we were involved and that we're involved with the federal government and you should be afraid of law enforcement and everything else. What that is doing is it's preventing the people who are here illegally from calling 911.
I see.
So here is
I see. So they won't call the local law enforcement because they're afraid. They've been told that you are going to act like ICE or involve ICE.
Absolutely.
And that's not the case.
Right. And here's the worst thing that could possibly happen for me. We have a 14-year-old girl that will not report that she's being raped because her rapist told her that her and her family are going to get deported. And now she's going to be repeatedly victimized over and over and over again out of the fear of being deported. Yeah. And that doesn't happen here. We can't, the people, whether you agree or like it or not, we can't have visitors that are afraid to report to law enforcement that they're being victimized.
Right.
We need to get the people that are victimizing us off of the streets, in jail,
no matter
and
what.
protect us as a society.
Before we return to the conversation, for the audience, I want to explain an important detail on the process of running for governor of California. To become governor, a candidate has to win the general election, which will be in November of 2026. But to be on the ballot for the general election, the candidate has to be one of the two candidates who get the most votes in the primary race, which is in June of 2026. And for those of my viewers who don't live in California, and for those who do live in California who don't know the system, the primary is called a jungle primary. It's very different than primaries in other states. This primary is based on a concept where all candidates from all of the parties appear together on one ballot. There is no Republican primary or Democrat primary. They are all on one ballot. Each voter is free to choose any candidate that he or she wants, regardless of that voter's party affiliation. And then the two candidates that get the most votes, again, regardless of party, move on to the general election in November. Sheriff, there are more than a dozen people who have declared themselves as candidates for the upcoming primary race. I'd like you to compare your positions on the major issues to the positions of the two announced leading candidates from each party. So let's start with Democrat Katie Porter, who is currently leading in the polls, but the polls don't have a lot of meaning at this stage, but she's leading at 18%. What are your positions versus Katie Porter's?
I guess completely opposite. I mean, what we have to realize here in California is we have a one-party rule here in California that has been completely run by Democrats in the legislature and the governor's office, and it's failed. And so from this point forward, we know that if we are going to make some drastic, substantial changes in California, we can't vote for a Democrat. It's got to be a Republican that has fresh ideas, a different path forward to success in California than the agenda that we have had over the past. And with all of the candidates on the Democrat side, they are the same names and the same faces of the people that put us here in this position to begin with. They're not new. They're not random people. They are the same politicians that made the same decisions, rules, and laws that have put us here in this position. And the Democrat agenda in California right now is indefensible. There is nothing that they can stand on to say what a great job they have done. They can't take credit for the weather.
Certainly not the fires.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The cost of living is the highest. The taxes are the highest. Poverty is the highest. The homelessness is the highest. Everything we're supposed to be good in, we're the worst. And everything we're supposed to be the worst at, we're the best in California. So the Democrat Party and the Democrat politicians have absolutely nothing to run on. Their entire platform is indefensible in California. And I have drastically different ideas of what government should do and how government should operate. I mean, I've been in debates with them, where they've been on the stage, and it's like you're in the Twilight Zone. They are doubling down on taxes. They're doubling down on climate change and the ability to take more of our money to fight climate change, where California is the only place in the entire world that is doing anything like that. And somehow we're supposed to make a difference, or we're going to make a difference. Yeah. We're absolutely not. Yeah. And so everything about government regulation from the Katie Porter side is opposite of mine. I don't want government regulating us, and she wants more. Mm-hmm. She wants more taxes. I want less. I want better schools. She thinks schools are doing great.
Well, she's listening to the teachers union, I'm sure. The teachers union is doing great. Yeah. I remember during COVID when they said that they didn't want to go back to teaching because it was too dangerous. The children weren't getting COVID. It's not dangerous to children, right? Yeah. And they were saying it's all for the kids to keep the schools closed for, 18 months or so. Yeah. And they still got full pay.
The worst in the state, or the worst in the country. We stayed closed longer than anyone in the country. And we know now how horrible that was for the learning of our children. Right. The education process of our children, we failed them.
And Sweden kept the schools open, and they had the same COVID rates as we did with the schools open. Okay, compare yourself to Steve Hilton's position. He's currently at around 12%.
Yeah, so I'm not going to say anything bad about any of the Republicans that are running.
Oh, that's unique.
It is, and I have nothing bad to say about them. Mm-hmm. I do have to say why I am better and why I'm the only person capable of winning this election. Mm-hmm. But Steve says basically all of the same things that I'm saying, because we're fighting a broken Democrat agenda. And that liberal agenda, social experiment in California that has failed.
It's not liberals, leftist.
Leftist. Mm-hmm. And we are proposing to fix that, to straighten it back out with common sense, with good government, with limited government, less regulation, less taxes. So Steve is saying the exact same thing that I am. Every Republican, we're all saying the same thing. That's what is unique right now about this California election, and you explained it in the primary, in the being a jungle primary. This is not about an election of me and Steve Hilton or me and Cheyenne. I know I'm going to win this election. I not only in the primary, but in the general election. And I think that the Democrats know that too. So do the Republicans, which is why I'm the target of both sides. I'm not running against Steve Hilton. I'm running against the Democrats. I'm either going to be number one or number two in that jungle primary so I can go on and win that November election.
Okay, so assuming, hopefully, you're one of the top two in the primary, you're still going to face a very significant problem based on registered voters. I mean, here's how I see it. Among registered voters in California, 45% are Democrats, only 25% are Republicans. Now, the remainder, 22% are independents, and 8% are other. So running as a Republican, you'll need a substantial number of independents or Democrats to win. It's probably the Democrats aren't going to vote for Republican, and unlikely, but so you're going to need a substantial number of these other people who are either unregistered or from other parties to win. How are you going to do that?
Yeah, that will be the goal of the campaign, right. And it's going to be easier than what people think. And I'm a very much of an optimist. So you can tell me all day long that 45% are Democrats, but that means 55% are not.
That's a good way of looking at it.
So technically,
good way of looking at it.
I could be in the majority. So I will go opposite of what you said about Democrats not voting for me. Democrats are voting for me, and Democrats are going to vote for me. So the way I'm going to win is more than likely it will be myself and someone from the Democrat Party.
Probably not Katie Porter.
Probably not Katie Porter.
I don't think she's electable.
I have a feeling we don't know who it's going to be yet. I don't think it's going to be any of the other ones that are in there. It's going to be somebody else that comes in the next little bit. But for me to win, and this is how we are going to win, I'm going to have the majority, if not all, of the Republican vote. I'm going to have the majority of the independent vote, and I already have the endorsement of the American Independent Party. And with all of that, I know I still need between 15% and 20% of Democrats to vote for me.
Oh, really?
And so that's what we're targeting, the 15 to 20% Democrats.
Wow.
And this is the reality of the electorate. They're not all far left.
That's right.
They're not all
That's
lunatic left.
That's right.
They're just Democrats. They're Democrats that have been
Historically.
trained.
And their parents were Democrats, so they're Democrats.
And the Democrat Party has done a very, very, very good job of making sure that Democrats vote party line no matter what.
Right. Up till now. That's true.
Everyone in California wants to be safe. There are Democrats that have children that want their children safe. There are Democrats that own businesses that want their businesses protected from crime. There are Democrats that want their schools safe. There are Democrat men that want their wives to be safe going to the grocery store at night. There are women that
who have kids, who have girls, and they don't want boys in those locker rooms.
Absolutely. There are parents who don't want their kids forced to be vaccinated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There are parents who don't want their kids competing against boys in sports. That common sense is the majority of
It's
us.
the right time.
Yes, it definitely is the right time.
You may indeed get a fair number of Democrats.
So a Democrat will cross party lines for public safety. And proof of concept is in Nevada, where a Democrat incumbent who is very popular governor ran for re-election, and a sheriff who was very pro-public safety, obviously very fiscally conservative, ran against him on that public safety platform and beat him in a blue state. So we are going to replicate that same process. We actually have the benefit of not being a Republican, or of not being an incumbent,
Right.
So there's not
It's
an incumbent running.
Right.
And the power of incumbency is real.
Yeah, huge.
So we are running against the Democrat Party, basically. That agenda that has failed California, and my fiscally conservative approach to government differs completely from theirs. My fiscally conservative approach to taxes is less compared to more. Gas prices less instead of more. Drill more oil instead of less regulations, all of those things. And then public safety is absolutely, I am the answer to public safety in California. I don't mean that to seem conceited, but I have 32 years of expert service.
But even if,
in public
say,
safety.
Okay, you win the governorship, how do you go forward and implement these programs that you want to implement with a legislature that is totally Democrat? That is a huge burden.
It definitely is an undertaking. And I don't know if I would say burden, but it's going to be making it more difficult.
Yeah.
Riverside County, contrary to what most people believe, is a blue county. I have a 4-1 Democrat board. And being the chief of police, technically, of 17 contract cities who are also predominantly Democrat, you're not going to find an elected official. You might find one or two that are just politically motivated. But the people that know who I am, that know why I am doing what I'm doing and what I've done before, you're not going to get any complaints from them. They know that I'm doing things for the right reason. They know I'm doing things for the betterment of the constituency rather than a party agenda or a personal agenda. It's just doing the right thing.
Yeah, but I think, and I don't know state politics, but I assume at the state level, these legislators are hard left.
They are, but what is their biggest fear? Their biggest fear is not getting elected again.
Yeah.
Because if they don't get elected again, they don't have the power that they have while they're there. Why are they not elected again? Because they haven't been exposed for what they're doing to Californians.
And you'll expose it.
So for me, everyone in Riverside County knows that I'm not afraid of a microphone. I'm not afraid to answer questions. I'm not afraid to tell the truth. That's all you get from me is the truth. And I will expose them for not doing the right things for Californians. And I've already promised the media every day on the steps of the Capitol building, I will stand there in front of all your cameras and I will tell you either of the good things we did the day before or the lunacy that happened.
Or the things you tried to do, but you were stopped from doing.
And who stopped it? Who are the ones that stopped us? And that's how and I don't want to say bully tactics. It's going to be light. I'm just going to shine light.
Right. You can be the Trump of California.
Yeah. And I will tell you that I'm not going to, while I agree with everything he's doing, sometimes I don't agree with the way he does it. And there's there are certain ways that are okay to do things, and you person to person, and you explain to them, this is what we want, this is why we should do it. You can convince me if you want, but if you can't convince me, you know I'm right, and then we're going to do the right thing. And if that doesn't happen, then they get exposed. And then it's going to be the way government is supposed to operate. And I can promise everyone this. I'm not winning this race for the Republican Party to make sure that everybody in California is a Republican. I'm not doing it for the Democrat Party. I'm doing it for Californians, because Californians have been neglected because of the fight between the political parties. And that the normal, everyday, hardworking Californian is being victimized by a failed government. That's what I'm doing this for. There's a political pendulum that swings far left and far right. It's gone way far too left this time. My goal as governor is to stop it right at the bottom. I don't want it to swing back the other way.
Understood.
I want to stop it to where...
You're not a radical guy.
No. And we have to get back to a government where lawmakers actually have to go there and argue their points to get people to turn over to their side, so we pass legislation. Not just rubber stamping everything because it's a one-party rule. Right. The Democrats pass it, and then the Democrat governor signs it. And I still have the power of the veto, and I have the power of the pen. And those things will be utilized to get people to do the right thing. It's sad that I have to say that I will have to employ tactics to get people to do the right thing.
Of course you'll have to, because there are people who don't want to do the right thing. Yeah,
but we will. Okay. And I think we're going to be very successful. I know it's not going to be easy, but I've never shied away from anything that was hard just because it was hard.
Good things are hard to do.
Yeah.
But you still have to do them. Now, to win, you'll need to overcome some, or at least some of the major objections against you. So I'm going to start with the simplest charge against you. A Democrat candidate has filed suit to stop you from campaigning in uniform. He claims that it violates California's government code, I think it's 3206, and that wearing your uniform may confuse voters and create intimidation or coercion. I'd be embarrassed to even try to explain that to somebody, that your appearing in uniform will coerce or intimidate people. But how do you respond?
Yeah, well, just when we thought you couldn't get a bigger narcissist than our current governor, along comes this guy and suing me for the clothes that I wear.
I see.
It's absolutely crazy that everyone in California knows that public safety is going to be the number one issue on the ballot. Who better to address those concerns than the sheriff? Not only that, the sheriff of one of the largest counties that we have. I'm the second largest sheriff's department in the state, fourth largest in the country. So who better to go in there and do that with public safety being such a priority?
It's a priority.
So they have to attack that and somehow keep me from this. But the bottom line is this. I am the elected sheriff of Riverside County 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. If someone came into this house, into this studio, and they were going to harm anyone, I'm stopping it. I don't say, I'm wearing a suit, I don't have my uniform on, I can't do anything for you. I am the sheriff all day long. It is my identity as the elected sheriff. And so the federal government, I get complaints of this all the time, and they've already ruled that it's okay. It's not illegal. And even the federal government has said that an elected official is different, particularly the elected sheriff, for exactly the reason that I just gave. I'm a law enforcement officer everywhere in the state, 365 days a year. And besides all of that, this is not the Riverside County Sheriff's uniform.
I see.
This might be what the sheriff wears, but I'm not technically, by Constitution and how it's set up, I am the office of sheriff, and those people work for me. So I'm not technically part of the sheriff's department. This is the Riverside County Office of Sheriff, and those are all my employees. So the way the code is written, it doesn't apply to me anyway.
Good.
It's just a crazy a way for him to try and get publicity.
Perhaps a more serious allegation against you is that the Riverside County has among the lowest crime clearance rates in California during your tenure as sheriff.
Yeah, and actually it's the completely opposite. We are one of the most safest counties in the state. We have one of the highest success rates of solving crime and arresting people.
Oh, so it's just
this
not
is
true.
complete fabrication.
It's just not true. Okay.
Complete fabrication. It was by design from as almost like a political hit job, knowing what was going to happen. And I'll very quickly I'll tell you, they came in and they asked us for a certain statistic, and we told them we can't give you anything for that ask that you're giving us because our agency is so large, and because I have 17 contract cities that all have different numbers and everything else, closure rates, report writing systems, and everything else. You asking me for a closure rate of one crime, I can't give you that.
Yeah, I see.
You have to ask me for this, and then I'll give you all the real answers. And they said, we don't want the real answers. We just want this. And so, I mean, we told them going in, it's going to show you nothing. And they said, well, that's what we want.
Okay. Also, it's been claimed that the number of inmate deaths is above what they expect it to be, or above average. Is that not the case?
That was the case in 2021. So in 2021, and we talked about the fentanyl coming into everything, and at the end of COVID. So what happened in 2021 is every single correctional facility in the state and the country experienced a abnormal increase in deaths in custody because of suicides and because of fentanyl overdose.
Right.
That was across the whole country. So why would a jail be any different?
Yeah.
So our average was 9. We ended up having 18 in that year. But of those, 7 of them were fentanyl and 6 were suicides. So you take away those 13, I really only had 6.
I see.
So it's a fabrication. It's another hit job to make it appear like I'm doing something wrong.
A lousy job. Yeah.
None of those deaths in 2021, and no death in the history of Riverside County in our jail system has ever been alleged against one of our employees. There has never been an allegation of employee misconduct or force or anything like that that has caused a death. It is simply just not true. And the sad part is, of course, it's the implication.
Right.
And the sad part is, and this is when they lie, they don't think about what they're actually lying about, and they don't think of the consequences of that lie. So when this was all alleged against me was in March of 2023. In November of 2022, an audit from the state of California of the bottom 5 counties of California in their jail systems found that I had the best jail system in the state. And if anyone and they were doing an investigation on San Diego because of jail deaths. And because you can't just audit one, they had to audit multiple. So they picked 5, and it was all of us down here. The end of that audit said that everyone in the state, including the state inmates, county jails and state inmates, should model themselves after the Riverside County Sheriff because of how we run and operate our correctional system.
Whoa.
That was in November, after this supposed massive increase of jail deaths in my county.
Excellent.
So right now, it's 2020. We'll go off of 2024. We're in 2025. In 2024, if you want to compare 2021 to 2024, my jail deaths are down 300%. Nobody's reporting that. They don't want to talk about that. The reality is this is lawfare. It is nothing but political hit jobs. Get it in the paper. Yeah. So during the election, which where we are now, they just refer back to these articles and refer to these other things to say, oh my gosh, look how bad he is. The reality is it's made up. It's not true. I am extremely proud of not only the correctional deputies that run our jails, but RUHS, which is Riverside University Health System, which operates all of the medical inside of our jails. We operate together. I am proud of both of them for the fantastic work that they do.
Now, being governor, there are going to be a lot of difficult decisions, some of which you can't even anticipate.
Right.
But tell us about some difficult decisions that you've made, whether they're right or wrong, during your tenure as sheriff.
Well, I'll give you a major one. And that was really in 2020 that put me on the national stage, because I stood up to our failure of a governor and said that we are not going to close down our businesses. I am not going to arrest people for masks. I was the first person in the country to do that.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Fantastic.
I did it at our board meeting, and because I knew they were going to enforce, or they were going to enhance what he was saying to do. And I came there and I said, absolutely not here. We are not, I am not going to make a criminal out of a single mom who needs to go to work to put food on the table for her children.
Oh, wow.
I am not going to close businesses. I am not going to arrest pastors for keeping their churches open. That is not going to happen in Riverside County. And I believe, and then what I asked is for everyone to behave like responsible adults, do the right thing, pay attention to the people around you, wear a mask if you're sick, don't go around people, just be polite and kind to everybody.
Yeah.
We will get through this, but we are not going to enforce these unethical, immoral, and unconstitutional rules and laws from our governor.
You should make a big deal about this, because now everyone knows that the masks were worthless. They don't protect anything. And that keeping kids out of school and keeping people from praying was all absurd.
Yeah.
So
even the mandates of the COVID vaccination, absolutely refused. You did not have to get it for us. There were many law enforcement officers throughout the state that were fired because they would not take the vaccine.
Right.
And we hired them.
Congratulations to you for taking that stand when it was hysteria.
Yes.
Okay, people would say, "You're an enemy. You're not wearing a mask. You're trying to kill me." For taking that stand that early, that's an impressive feat, and that shows what you're standing for. Common sense.
Yeah.
Common sense against what was thought to be as this is the law, this is the rule. And you have Fauci saying we have to stop it. We have to stop doing this. You have to close businesses. Sure, but liquor stores could stay open. Marijuana dispensaries could stay open. Abortion centers could stay open. But you can't go to church.
Yeah. So I've spent 32 years where every day of my life is handling someone else's emergency. That is the job of a law enforcement officer from the time they go 10-8, which is the beginning of your shift. You go from one 911 call to the next, and that is someone's emergency that you respond to. You get as much information as you can, you fix it, and you move on to the next emergency. When you start promoting, now you're responsible for everyone below you. So you just learn how to do that. You learn to make bigger decisions. When you get to my position, I'm responsible for 4,400 employees and all of the decisions that they are making throughout the day and the cases that are going on and everything else. You learn over time how to deal with emergencies. My life is emergency management. So with the COVID situation, it was an emergency management situation, but you learn very quickly to take in all aspects from all sides, discern what the truth is, discern what might not be the truth, and what the best path forward is. And that's how I came to that decision. That's how I come to all decisions. And that's how we'll be running the state. Yes, there's emergencies that have to be made. Yes, there's tough decisions that have to be made. But that's my daily life. That's all I do.
I love the story. Okay, here up, we're going to end up with some rapid fire questions that only require a yes or no or a quick answer. So as governor, are you going to oppose no cash bail?
Yes.
Excellent. Should California increase penalties for fentanyl dealers?
Yes.
You've been called a MAGA sheriff. Do you consider yourself more aligned with Donald Trump or Ronald Reagan?
I would argue that I have the best aspects of both.
Which is the biggest crisis now in California? Homelessness or immigration?
I would have to say homelessness because immigration right now has stopped.
Yeah.
The federal government has stopped immigration.
Yeah.
Our border
Trump's
is secure.
done a great job on that.
Homeless is affecting everyone in the state, whether quality of life or the actual people who are homeless.
Do you support or oppose California's ban on new gas-powered car sales after 2035? In other words, Newsom or the Democrats have passed, I think it's a law, that after 2035, no more gas-powered cars can be sold in the state.
Strongly oppose.
Yeah. How would you describe Gavin Newsom's leadership?
Non-existent.
Yeah, worthless. Sheriff, I want to thank you for joining me today and sharing your vision for California with us. Best of luck on the campaign trail.
Thank you very much.
If you want to learn more about Sheriff Bianco's campaign and his plan to restore the California dream, you can check out his campaign website. It's biancoforgovernor.com, all one word. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this episode of Life Lessons with Dr. Bob, please subscribe and you'll be automatically notified of future podcasts in this series.
Thanks so much for listening to another episode of Life Lessons with Dr. Bob. If you enjoyed these interviews with some of today's most influential thought leaders, please follow and rate the show on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget, you can also watch each episode on YouTube as well. We'll see you next time.